Hello and thank you for watching. This is STSC back again with LEGO Transformers Taurus. Taurus is the third and final member of Zodiac, and as you can see, he is a bull. Right off the bat, I have to be honest, this is honestly probably my least favorite of the three Zodiacons. I think this build sacrifices the most in favor of combining, and ultimately it just comes off a little bit weaker than the other two. There are small details like how far forward his forelegs are, or how long his rear legs are, and just really the shape of his body that just kind of feel a bit off to me. I don't think it's horrible, and it was the best I could come up with at the time, but I do think that it could maybe be a bit better. So maybe one of these days I'll come back and revisit this guy and make a version 2. One thing you'll notice is that, like Cancer, he does suffer from miscolored mixel joints. Unfortunately, they just don't produce those pieces in black, so I had to use dark gray. The darker color means it's less eye-catching than on Cancer, and it does fit his color scheme, but I'm not a big fan of the striped look it gives him. Another interesting detail is that he's actually asymmetrical. You can see on one side he has a Technic pin, and on the other side he has a bar, and that's just due to how he combines. As far as articulation goes in this mode, he does have a ball joint at the neck, but unfortunately due to the orientation of it, it can't actually move, left and right. He can kind of quizzically tilt his head, and he can look up, but that's about it. Similarly, at the shoulders, he does have a ball joint in there, but it's pretty much locked in place in this mode. But you can kind of move the leg at the knee, and you can also spread it outwards at that joint. So, if you wanted to kind of have him with a wider stance, maybe. Then, at the back, you can see his rear legs have a universal T-joint. So they can go forward and back and in and out. He's got a double knee. And at the tail, his tail can kind of spin, and it can waggle a little bit. For size comparison, here we have Taurus with a minifigure, and with Cancer. That's all there is to say about this mode, so now it's time to transform. And here we have Taurus in his robot mode. This is definitely my favorite of the two modes, but I think it still has its issues. For one thing, I'm not a huge fan of his face. It's kind of just a flat, wide visor, and it looks a bit weird. Secondly, depending on how you look at it, his lower body is a bit awkward. As you can see, his legs actually attach really far back on his body, and the cow's head kind of forms his pelvis. And it sort of works if you look at it from this angle, but once you start to turn it around, it looks a bit weirder. Though I do like the barrel-chested look. I also like how the horns sort of form a belt on him, like it's some sort of crazy belt buckle. You may have noticed that when transforming Taurus, I removed his tail. In robot mode, you can clip it into his hand as a kind of mace. Or if you want, you can just put it right back as a tail. For size comparison, here we have Taurus with a minifigure, and with Cancer. For articulation, Taurus has a up and down joint at his head, ball joints at the shoulder, which are a bit limited because they're inset to his torso, so it can only go out this far, but it can get a full swivel. then a elbow bend that is 90 degrees, and a inward elbow bend here, which I guess could be considered a wrist joint. Then at the legs, he's got a universal joint at the hips, and two hinges in the knees like digitigrade legs. All around, I think Taurus is the least interesting of the three Zodiacons, mostly because of the sacrifices he has to make to combine. But that's not to say I don't like him. I do think he can look pretty cool, just that I feel he's a bit overshadowed by his two teammates. And that's all I have to say about Taurus, so I'll see you tomorrow when I combine all three of the Zodiacons into the monstrous Zodiac.